I want you to try a little experiment with me. Just for a second. Close your eyes. Imagine you're standing on a sidewalk in Manhattan.
Upper East Side.
Yeah, East 71st Street. It's a gray day. And you're looking up at this massive limestone townhouse. It's, what, 7 stories tall?
It looks less like a home and more like a fortress.
Which is exactly what it was designed to be. So you walk up to these heavy double doors, you push them open, and you're expecting, I don't know, standard billionaire decor.
Marble floors, maybe a big chandelier, some boring art on the wall.
Instead, you are greeted by eyes.
Eyes.
Dozens and dozens of them. Framed artificial eyeballs. They're just lining the entrance hall row after row staring at you.
It was the first thing every single guest saw.
Yeah.
And you have to understand, this wasn't just some eccentric artistic choice. It was a message.
What was the message?
I see you. You are being watched.
So you try to shake that feeling off. You walk past the wall of eyes and into the main hall. And right there, hanging from the ceiling, is a sculpture of a woman.
But not just a woman. A bride. And she's hanging there, clutching a rope, dangling over this grand staircase.
It's just so macabre. It sets this tone of, like, predatory dominance.
And then it gets worse. You turn into the office, and on the rug, there's a tiger.
A full-size taxidermied tiger just sitting there. And behind the desk, on the shelf, a first edition copy of Lolita.
Which, when you know everything we know now, isn't some literary flex. It's basically a confession.
Exactly. This wasn't a movie set. This was Jeffrey Epstein's home. And for decades, the most powerful people on the planet, we're talking presidents, princes, tech titans, scientists, they walked past those eyes.
They sat next to that tiger. They ate dinner under that hanging bride.
And the whole time, the cameras were rolling.
That is the detail that changes everything. It turns this from just a creepy story into a global crisis.
And that's why we're here today. The dam has finally broken. It's February 2026. The Epstein Files Transparency Act is in effect, and the DOJ just released, over 3 million pages of new documents.
It's an avalanche of evidence. We're talking 180,000 photos, 2,000 videos.
So the mission for this deep dive is simple. We are not going to rehash the old headlines. Everyone knows about Prince Andrew, about Bill Clinton. We've heard those stories
for years.
We are looking at the new revelations, the ones in this 2026 release. We're looking at the Silicon Valley titans who thought they were untouchable.
And we are looking at a shocking connection that goes to the absolute highest levels of the Indian government.
And we're going to try to answer the one question that's been haunting everyone for 20 years. How did a college dropout, a guy who used to teach high school math, build a machine that compromised the entire global elite?
Let's start with that machine. Because when you read the FBI raid findings in these new files, the breakdown of the townhouse wiring, it's so obvious. Blackmail wasn't a side hustle.
It was the main business model.
It was an intelligence operation. That's really the only way you can describe it. The files detail a media room in the house.
Right, but not for watching movies.
No, it was a security center. A wall of monitors, all showing live feeds from every corner of the property.
And when you say every corner?
I mean everywhere. The files confirm hardwired cameras in the guest bedrooms, in the bathrooms.
Even the toilets were monitored.
The toilets, yes.
I mean, just think about the psychology of that. If you're a guest, a senator, a CEO, and you stay the night, you have absolutely zero privacy.
Every single vulnerable moment is captured.
And it wasn't just digital, right? The FBI found actual physical media.
The safe. This is the smoking gun that proves the intent. When the FBI finally cracked that safe, they found stacks and stacks of CDs.
And the labels.
The labels were handwritten. And they followed a very specific format. They all read Young, followed by a name, a plus sign, and then the name of a powerful person.
Young name plus powerful person.
It's a filing system. It's a library of leverage. This is why he was untouchable for so long. He wasn't just some rich guy throwing parties.
He was J. Edgar Hoover with a private island.
He was banking on mutual destruction.
Okay, but here's where I always get stuck. To build all that, the cameras, the staff, the jets, you need a huge amount of capital. And Epstein was just a math teacher from Brooklyn. Where did that money come from?
The files point us right back to his original patron, Leslie Wexner.
The founder of Victoria's Secret Bath and Body Works.
Correct. For years, the story was that Wexner hired Epstein as this, financial wizard back in the 80s. But these new documents, they make that relationship look much more complicated.
Complicated how?
Wexner gave Epstein full power of attorney.
Okay, explain what that means in practice.
It means Epstein could sign Wexner's name, He could buy property, sell stocks, move millions of Wexner's personal fortune around without even needing to ask.
That's an insane level of trust.
It's almost unheard of. And the townhouse, the one with the eyes, that was originally Wexner's house.
And the records show he transferred it to Epstein for
$0.
zero.
A gift. Worth tens of millions. Now, much later, when the scandal broke, Wexner claimed that Epstein had misappropriated funds that he basically stole from him.
But the 2026 files show a huge contradiction.
A massive one. Wexner never sued.
Yeah.
He never went to the police.
If someone steals hundreds of millions of dollars from you, you call the cops.
Unless that person has something on you.
Yeah.
Unless that person is providing a service that's worth the money.
So the theory is that Epstein was a fixer.
He used Wexner's money to build this web. And in return, he gave Wexner access, information, and maybe protection.
So Wexner funded the web, but let's talk about the flies that got caught in it. This new release has been an absolute nightmare for Silicon Valley.
It just shatters that whole meritocracy myth completely.
Let's start with Elon Musk. If you look at his public statements from just last year, 2025, he was practically leading the charge to release these files.
Oh, yeah. He was on his platform calling it the big bomb, demanding transparency, positioning himself as the outsider who was going to drain the swamp.
And then the files come out.
And the hypocrisy is just stunning. We're looking at a chain of emails between Musk and Epstein from 2012-2013. And this isn't Musk asking for, funding for Tesla.
No, I have the transcript right here. In one email, Musk asks Epstein which night at the house would host the wildest party.
And look at the context he gives. He tells Epstein he's been working to the edge of sanity and needs to let loose.
Edge of sanity.
It's a very vulnerable thing to admit. And the files also have calendar entries confirming he visited the island. So you have the richest man on earth who publicly said he had no connection to this, actually coordinating his party schedule with a known predator.
He's not the only one either. Bill Gates has been doing damage control for a decade.
Right, his defense was always the same. I met him for philanthropy, I didn't know who he was.
But the timeline in these files just destroys that argument.
Completely. The files confirm at least 3 meetings at the townhouse after 2011. And we have to keep hammering this point home. By 2011, Epstein was already a convicted sex offender.
He was a registered felon. He had served jail time. There is no I didn't know.
Impossible. Gates knew exactly who he was dealing with. He even flew on Epstein's jet, the so-called Lolita Express, in 2013. But this 2026 release finally gives us the why. Why would Bill Gates risk his entire reputation for this guy?
Blackmail.
Specifically, yeah. The files have draft emails that Epstein wrote to himself, where he's outlining a plan to reveal an alleged extramarital affair involving Gates.
So Epstein found out a secret and just held it over his head.
It looks like he used it as leverage to force Gates to stay in his orbit, to lend him his credibility. It shows even the founder of Microsoft was just another pawn in Epstein's game.
And speaking of global games, this is where this deep dive takes a turn I don't think anyone saw coming. We're used to this being a story about, American and British elites.
Right. New York, London, that's the usual orbit.
But the 2026 files have dragged India right into the center of this whole storm.
This is the geopolitical shockwave. We are seeing names from the absolute highest corridors of power in New Delhi.
Okay, let's break down the Anil Ambani connection. For listeners who don't know, Ambani is basically industrial royalty in India. Massive wealth.
And the files give us this incredibly granular look at his communications from 2017 to 2019. Now, you have to remember the context. 2017, the Trump administration is just starting.
Chaos in Washington.
Exactly. Ambani wants access. And instead of going through the State Department, he goes through Epstein.
Because Epstein knew everybody.
He was the hub. We see Ambani messaging Epstein, asking for guidance on defense deals. He explicitly asks Epstein to set up meetings with Jared Kushner and Steve Bannon.
He's using a sex offender as a back channel to the White House.
And Epstein just ate it up. He played the part perfectly. But there's one specific date in these files that is just jaw-dropping. May 23rd, 2019.
Why is that date so important?
That was the day of the Indian general election results. The day Prime Minister Narendra Modi won a massive landslide victory for his second term.
And where was Anil Ambani on that historic night for his country?
He wasn't in Mumbai. He wasn't in Delhi. He was at Jeffrey Epstein's townhouse in New York.
That is staggering.
And Epstein capitalized on it immediately. That same night, he messages Steve Bannon. He's bragging about having a really interesting Modi meeting. He calls Ambani his guy, as in Modi's guy.
And he tells Bannon Modi is on board.
He's selling himself to the Trump White House as the man who controls India. He's creating this narrative that he's indispensable. He even breaks down geopolitics for Bannon, saying his Indian contact sees China and Pakistan as the main enemies.
He was feeding the alt-right exactly what it wanted to hear.
Now, we need to be really precise here. The listener is probably wondering, did Prime Minister Modi himself ever talk to Epstein?
Right.
There's zero evidence of that. The files show no direct communication. But Epstein was incredibly comfortable using Modi's name to impress people.
There's that bizarre email about the Israel trip.
Exactly. In 2017, Modi made this historic state visit to Israel. Epstein emails a contact in Qatar and claims the trip only happened because of his advice.
He took credit for an entire state visit.
He wrote that the prime minister danced and sang because of the trip.
Danced and sang. That doesn't really sound like Narendra Modi's style.
No, it really doesn't. And the Indian Foreign Ministry, they've come out swinging. They dismiss these claims as trashy ruminations.
Which is a great phrase.
It is. And it's likely Epstein was just lying. But the problem is, the people around the prime minister were in the room. It wasn't just Ambani.
Right. There's a current government minister in the files, Hardeep Singh Puri.
A very senior diplomat. Between 2015 and 2017, Puri had multiple meetings with Epstein, and Epstein introduces him to Silicon Valley guys.
He introduces him to Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, as your man in India.
Yes. And we see Puri sending Epstein detailed investment decks about the Digital India initiative.
Why? Why is a senior diplomat sharing government strategy with a convicted felon?
Because in that world, morality is secondary to access. Epstein was the hub. If you wanted to meet Bill Gates or Reid Hoffman or Steve Bannon, you went to the townhouse.
You kissed the ring.
It didn't matter if you were a tech bro from California or a senior minister from India.
It's a club. And the entry fee was your soul. Speaking of which, we have to talk about royalty. The whole saga of Prince Andrew.
The slow-motion car crash that has finally ended.
So by 2026, where does he even stand?
He's a total pariah. After the settlement in 2022, and then the tragic suicide of his accuser, Virginia Giuffre, in April of 2025.
Which was just a heartbreaking moment.
It really was, and it turned the public from just being angry to just being done with him. The 2026 files were the final nail in the coffin. We found emails from 2010.
What was in them?
Epstein offers Andrew a 26-year-old Russian woman, and Andrew's response.
What did he say?
One word: delighted.
Oh, God.
So King Charles had no choice. As of this year, Andrew has been stripped of everything. He's out of the Royal Lodge. He's no longer His Royal Highness.
He's just Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, a ghost in his own family.
And it's amazing how this web caught everyone. It wasn't just, the bad guys.
Right.
When you look at the intellectuals in these files.
That's maybe the most depressing part. You expect greedy businessmen. But Noam Chomsky, the great critic of power, he's in there asking Epstein for advice on handling bad press.
And Deepak Chopra?
The wellness guru.
There's an email where Chopra tells Epstein to bring your girls to Israel because it would be fun.
Fun. It just makes you realize that intellectualism or spirituality, it's not a shield against corruption. Ehud Barak, former Israeli prime minister, William Burns, the current CIA director.
They all touched this network. They all suspended their judgment because they wanted what Epstein had.
But here's the thing that keeps me up at night. We're sitting here in 2026. We have the files, we have the photos, the young plus name list. And yet, who is in jail?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
That's it.
That's it. She's the only person to face any significant legal consequences. No one else has been charged.
What about the men on the tapes, the people in those young files?
Nothing.
Silence.
And Epstein is dead. Officially a suicide. Though, when you look at that list of people we just discussed, presidents, princes, titans of industry, who stood to lose everything if he ever testified.
That narrative has always felt very thin.
And don't forget Jean-Luc Brunel,
the French modeling agent who procured the girls.
found dead in his cell in 2022. Another convenient suicide. The witnesses are gone.
So is this it? Is the story over?
No. And this is probably the most terrifying part of the whole 2026 context. The DOJ released 3 million pages, but they are withholding another 40%.
Withholding.
Roughly 2.5 million pages were identified, but not released to the public.
But why? The law was called the Transparency Act.
Well, look at who controls the DOJ right now. The Trump administration. There is rampant speculation, and frankly, it's just logic at this point, that those specific files are being held back because they implicate people who are currently in power.
Or people critical to the administration's funding.
So the blackmail didn't die with Epstein.
No. The files are the blackmail now. The system that Epstein built is still functioning. It's just protecting the survivors.
It's such a heavy thought to leave on. We started this deep dive walking into that townhouse looking at those artificial eyes on the wall.
And you realize that those eyes were the only things telling the truth.
They were watching a system designed to let the powerful do whatever they wanted, with no consequences. The 2026 files gave us the names, they gave us the dates, but they haven't given us justice.
So the question you, the listener, need to ask yourself is this. With 2.5 million pages still locked away in a vault somewhere, who is sleeping soundly tonight because their name didn't come out this week?
That's the real question.